So, what mainly inspires me to come to the climate march is the simple law of cause and effect, which is like governing, what we are doing, our actions in body, speech and mind have repercussions. And, and I think climate change and the whole environmental crisis, which becomes more and more apparent, is like a very big mirror for our way how we live.
The Buddha teaches us that ignorance is the cause of all suffering, and there's such enormous suffering on the planet right now due to ignorance, particularly our ignorance of our state of interbeing and our interbeing nature with the planet itself.
Like when I have beginners come in, they're really not ready to fully face climate change. They're a lot of times dealing with a lot of personal turmoil, and just gently bringing in interconnectivity through metta, the loving kindness for the earth. And as you go further in different classes, you can pretty much gear your to me, what we call the Dharma is this huge Dharma door when it comes to climate change. And so when you can engage people on that level, is thinking it's not this horrible thing out there, but it's a way to practice. It's really like a compelling way to practice, and we all need to join in the practice, in whatever flavor of a spiritual path you have.
We're at a very precarious time in our human history. We don't have very long to secure a sustainable atmosphere and environment to allow us to continue to live on this precious and beautiful and magnificent planet. And we can't assume that without really taking action and really securing a diminishing of carbon and methane gases in the atmosphere, a real reclamation of connection with the soul of the earth and the land, that we will be able to stay on this planet as a human civilization. That's just the science. We're in the midst of the 6th great extinction. And we have work to do. So I am here with Buddhist nuns, with faith leaders joining together to bring a moral voice, ethical voice, a voice of compassion, a voice of urgency. For all of us, every one of us can do something, to stand up, to talk together, to inform ourselves about climate science, to get the facts, to understand the precariousness of our situation and to act accordingly.
A core teaching of Christianity is the very simple phrase, God is love. We are all sisters and brothers. Christianity very much promotes that idea. For me, that includes every person. It also goes further than that. I am sister and brother with the animals we're passing, with the corn in the cornfield outside the window, with the mountains that we went by on the train.
I find that by being engaged, I'm not drawn down into hopelessness or despair. If I read too much or I listen too much to just the situation of facts, then the mind can start to turn negative. When that happens, I know that I need to use wise attention and pull away from immersion in that. I already know the reality, I already know the facts, so I pull away and then turn my heart to more practice, more meditation, more care of the virtue, the precepts, helping others. And really developing the intentions for what I do and what I say and what I think. And when I'm coming from that intention of caring about other beings, then there's no depression or despair or fear.
So I'm standing up and ringing the bell of mindfulness to wake people up so that we don't allow people to profit from human suffering or the suffering of the planet, but instead transition to a more mindful, more peaceful, more happy planet with interbeing.
So Joanna's work is an elegant practice called the work that reconnects. And it's a voyage of discovery, essentially, of moving through the exploration of 4 basic qualities of heart and mind. First is developing skills of gratitude. Second beyond that is honoring our pain for the world. Third thing is seeing with new eyes our interconnectedness. And the fourth thing is going forth, taking our gifts out into the world in service to the larger world. Honoring the pain is actually a function of our compassion, not our dysfunction, and our capacity to feel a sense of belonging and connection as well. We live in essentially a culture of dissociation, and both gratitude and honoring the pain helps us to feel more connected both in our own hearts as well as in the larger world. And since that happens, then we are then sort of feeling empowered and connected and motivated to take ourselves out into the world in new ways, to bring our gifts, whatever they are, to this time that Joanna calls the Great Turning, this time of transition from an industrial growth society to a life-sustaining society.
So for me, activism has become very much a spiritual practice, a practice in which I attempt to hold the suffering of those who are impacted by climate change and to show love, to really become, to show a future for people which is based on peace and love and understanding, and to make sure that when I sit in the street, like we did for Flood Wall Street, that I sit in a way that is a vision of the future that I'd like to see, of the society I'd like to see. I'm very much influenced by Thich Nhat Hanh, and he has a saying that peace is the way. And it's very important that we recognize that activism is not a tool for something in the future, but activism in itself is very much the future vision.
The future of all life depends on our mindful steps, and I wanted to kind of carry that message with me. So it was so joyful to be stuck for 2 hours as we waited to get in line with the interfaith communities of Muslims and priests and everyone. So I was excited that our Buddhist community could be part of that.
We're here because the precept of the Buddha was non-harming.
The 4 Brahma Viharas talk about love, compassion, joy, and balance, equanimity. And that reflects to me so much of what climate change is all about. If I wrote this on my little piece of ribbon. Is it not all about love? And if we don't find a way to interbe, to love each other, to try to understand each other, we can't do climate change. It's really about the Dharma and about what Thai has taught us, what the Buddha has taught us, what our Christian and Muslim and Jewish roots teach us about love.
In order for us to save the earth and each other and all species, we have to draw attention to this. And I'm happy to do this.
We firmly believe as Buddhists that although everything changes and everything is impermanent, we are involved in making the changes go in the right direction. And so social and earth responsibility is very, very important. So we sit as one for the earth and as the earth. Do no harm.
I'm here because I want to be really present and speak and say what I think by my presence.
walking here today with compassion for all beings, and also being really mindful of the energy of righteousness. You know, and seeing how the energy of righteousness can really push away people and can really alienate us from others who are part of this with us.
The unifying urgency of climate change was really this gift to the human beings to try and not be just the animal that they are, and to evolve beyond that, which is our potential and our nature. We have this.
The Dharma has a lot to offer in this regard. It teaches us the utter interdependence of everything. As Dogen Zenji, the great Zen master, said, that enlightenment is the intimacy of all things. This is the deepest realization we can have as human beings, that as we awaken, we understand that not only are we deeply interconnected, but at the most profound, mysterious level of our being, we are all things. And when we understand that the mind itself, when it's colored by delusion and ignorance and fear and aversion, and that mind projects out onto the world around us, it generates the situation that we have. And so, as practitioners of the Dharma, not only are we working actively externally in the world, but we're working internally to shift our consciousness, to evolve and to transform our consciousness and to free the mind from the structures that perpetuate illusion and delusion and suffering. And this is a teaching that the Buddha laid out, that we can actually do this. We can free our minds from unnecessary suffering, so that we have the full access to our energy. The freed heart has full access to the Brahmavihara energy of love, of compassion, of equanimity, of joy, of strength, of courage, and fearlessness. These are the qualities the Buddha demonstrated in his life, and we have access to this, and we can bring these energies forth to our activism and into our way of being in the world.
For me, pretty profound is to completely set aside this idea of other. That when my mind goes to those people, or they won't understand, or they don't get it, I try to just acknowledge that I'm having that thought and set it aside.
My activism is an outshoot and a practice of my spirituality, and my spirituality is the nourishment that gives me the ability to stand strong. During Flood Wall Street, I was on the tactical team. It was the first time that I had been on the tactical team since we occupied Zuccotti Park. And one of my roles was to break the police line. And when I broke the police line, I fully was aware that I may be tackled and arrested. And so I put my hands down by my side. I took a couple deep breaths. And in walking meditation, I walked through the police line in perfect peace. And by doing that in that way, in a non-threatening way, I was able to understand that at that moment the police were also scared. That the police were seeing a crowd of people who were going to push through their line and were unaware or had anxiety about what might occur. So to me, to be able to walk through the police line in walking meditation in perfect peace and to embody a compassion was a way that I could show that what we were doing was not a conflict with the actual police as people, but with the institution as a whole that protects capital and that protects an unjust system. And through that, we were able to liberate the space around the bull, and we're able to sit there. When I sat down, I looked to my left, and there was a woman who had sat down in meditation. And so I sat too, and came back to my breath.
I think that the crisis that our planet is in is going to help us to really deeply understand what the Buddha taught in terms of interbeing. And for me, myself, I'm motivated out of a real love for the planet. It's such a miracle that we're a part of. And because of our conditioning, because of the culture in which we live, we get totally disconnected from our awareness of that. And to me, there's a deep sadness in that we cut ourselves off from really enjoying the miracle of it all, the wonders of it all. Because we're disconnected, we don't take good care of it, and we are self-destructing. So I'm very, very happy to see so many people waking up.
I'm here today marching for my love of the earth. I come from Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado, and I came out here to be part of this opportunity because I think this is one of the most pressing issues facing our whole global society.
So yesterday when I was in the march, it was so huge. I was squished in with my my Sangha in a mass of people. It was hard to breathe. I couldn't really get an overview of anything. I was just stuck in the center, but I knew that I was there to add a little bit of energy, and that the energy not just be a number, that it be a place from my heart. And what my heart is saying is that we're like a planet that has a metastasis, and we have no idea if the alternative treatments and the standard AMA treatments are going to help us survive longer. But we, at the same time, we're doing everything we can on that level, on the medical level. But we also have to savor and live our lives to the fullest loving way of connection that we can. And so we're finding that balance of working our most, our best, our highest, and at the same time it's highlighting how delicious life is and how delicious the connection, the interconnection of everything is. And we not only owe it to life to live it to that fullest, but that is going to be part of the solution. That what we discover in living life to its fullest, to its most harmonious, is, if there's a way out, that's going to be it. And we need to mix that in to the movement. That is the movement.